Hello and welcome, Katy here. Thanks so much for stopping by. I am back with another project for Imagine Crafts, and today I've got a dimensional spring Eastery card for you. You could use this for a birthday, you could use this for Mother's Day. Sky's the limit, and I'm excited to share it with you. So we're going to use a bunch of Dewdrop Memento Inks and this silhouette stamp set from the Greetery with their coordinating dies. And I've got a fun little trick to show you for the paper wrap, the vellum wrap that I've put around. But first we're going to get into the stamping. So this is a great thing for any scraps that you have to be able to cut these little stamps out with. Or, you know, I have some longer cardstock and using that for the larger silhouette stamp that's within the stamp set. And I'm using the dewdrops specifically because of the perfectly pointed tip to be able to get in and provide detail stamping with our ink. So I'm starting off with dandelion, and then I'm going to come in and layer over top with cantaloupe. And it's just a nice little color combination to give that blended effect between the two colors. So I did double stamp just so I get a nice good dark impression, and dye inks dry back a little bit, so they're going to soften some. For the greenery on them, I used pear tart. So all the leaves and stems within these stamp sets are with pear tart. And then for the smaller purple stamping, I used Lulu lavender. And I didn't show all the stamping because some of them I did with just solid greenery. So that was between, again, the pear tart, and I did use bamboo leaves on some of the darker greenery. But so I thought I'd just focus on the floral silhouette stamps that were in the stamp set. So this one here, I'm using, again, pear tart. And then I think I'm going to come in with rosebud and lilac posy as my two pinky purple colors. What I did for all my stamping was I used yellows, pinky reds, and purples. So then for the, those are for the main stamped images, and then floral images. And then for the smaller buddy little, floral stems, I'm going to call them, that have smaller detail color, I used coordinating color. So if I did them in yellow, the larger ones I did yellow, I did them in the smaller ones the same. So dandelion, cantaloupe, rosebud, lilac, posy, and Lulu lavender and sweet plum. So you can see them all up there. And I used a heart die to cut my vellum for my wrap. Perfect. You don't need a fancy wrap die to cut, a little paper wrap for your floral bouquets. Just a heart shape. So if you have layering hearts, I would say this is the medium size, in the middle. And of course, it depends on how big your bouquet is. Now I'm using some on-point glue, and I'm just going to start filling in my little paper wrap, my vellum wrap. And the vellum, I think, is 30 pound. It's not a super heavyweight vellum. And once I get my little vellum wrap stuffed, and you can see the colors there, the purple, the pinky red, and the yellow. I have, again, coordinating little stems. These stems are what I was talking about, where you have a little bit of bud, colored bud on them. I did one in, the pinks, the red, or the pinks, the purple, and the yellow. And then I did some greenery stems. So like this one's a dark green, and I did that in the bamboo leaves. And then the lighter ones, of course, are the pear tart. Now, it's going to get a little messy in here. So, the on-point glue is great for vellum because it dries clear and it's not overly noticeable. But when you're doing a bunch of gluing, which I'm doing here, and I am going to glue the edge of the two hearts closed just to keep everything contained. it gets messy looking. You know, here you're going to see I'm putting a dab of glue, and I end up, because the glue will hold the vellum, but I kept messing with it and opening it up, and eventually it just didn't want to stick anymore, even if I added more of the on point glue. So I went ahead and just used a piece of 1/8 of an inch width double-sided adhesive, and I'll tuck that on right on the edge of that vellum heart there, that opening, and then that'll seal it together. But again, it's messy. So you saw in the photos, I have another wrap. I have another heart that I cut out. And I told you I'd do a follow-up with you on the StazOn Pigment Snowflake White. I'm going to use this background script stamp. And the last time I opened this was in January. Put that press and seal or your cellophane over top to keep the ink moist, the pad moist. It's worked beautifully. So by the time this video comes out, it's probably going to be March. So we're about 3 months. So I definitely recommend for those StazOn Pigment ink pads. They're fantastic ink pads. They really are. They stamp great for vellum and acetate and things like that, but they dry out quick. The container's not great. And so putting some press and seal or a cellophane over the top and sealing it in with the lid is definitely the way to go. So you can see there that I took the background script stamp. Now I'm doing some basic blending here using cantaloupe, and then I'll use again rosebud, and I think I came in with some sweet plum on the edge of the rosebud when I do the pink, just to deepen it up a little bit. But for the heart, when I stamped that script stamp, I flipped it over because I'm folding it over top of each other. You basically want to stamp on the reverse so that your script will read properly. So just keep that in mind when you just do your script stamping, if you decide to make something like this. And I have to say too that I'm pleasantly impressed with that background stamp, because that was the first time I had stamped with it, and the image that they show you on the back of the stamp would have you believe that it's a really bold, thick lined script. And as you see there on the vellum, and I'll show an up close at the end, the script is very fine and it's perfect. I was in my mind thinking I needed another script stamp, background stamp, and I really don't. I'm so glad I got that one. Okay, so we're almost done blending here. And that is a background die from Cat Scrappiness. And now I'm taking a set of postage stamp dies and just layering them. The soft cream colored cardstock, the smaller piece there, is just ivory cardstock. And then a piece of vellum to go over the top of it to soften it up. I did pop that ivory up on some foam with some fun foam. And again, adding some double-sided adhesive to our wrapped bouquet, and then just using my bone folder to kind of burnish the vellum and that adhesive together so that everything will stay together nicely. So here's that fun foam double-sided adhesive. Going to center that on our background die cut there. Now, that background die cut is A2, so it would go border to border on an A2 size card base, but I did trim the edges off a little bit all around so that I could have a nice little white border of that cardstock, and then just have a Hello Spring. I didn't have a Hello Easter or Happy Easter, excuse me, small stamp set, so that's why I went with the Hello Spring, but I am adding, again, some double-sided adhesive to the back of our vellum wrap, and then I will add it to our card base there. And I just use some double-sided adhesive in the center of that vellum die cut, the stamped, the postage stamp die there in the center, because our floral arrangement there is going to cover it up. And then I just lift it and make sure everything's adhered down. Now, a little trick here is this, I want to put a little bow on because you can see that die cut there with the Hello Spring is a like a gift tag die cut. And so I'm taking just 1/8 of an inch double-sided adhesive and then my tweezers there and rolling up that adhesive into a little ball. And I've just got some pink, twine there that I made into a bow and added it on there. And you can see how delicate that is. I just love it. I think it's a perfect little spring card, and I hope you enjoyed it too. If you did, please give the video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Be sure and check the description box below for the products used. And I want to thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I'll catch you in the next video.